You can cut 10 hours a week from your current workload with little effort if you can focus on working on the business rather than in the business, looking after your health as a priority, and asking more from the clients that you already have rather than trying to find new clients. Doing that, it'll only help you create a life that is way more fun, way more fulfilling, and financially free. Now, if you want to optimize your life without wasting time, grab your free life map below where I'll teach you how to design, build, and live your dream life. Look, 6 months after I started my new business from scratch, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. I couldn't work anything like what I was doing. I was doing 10 or 12-hour days, and all of a sudden I was down to work in maybe 2 or 3 hours if I was lucky, and I did not have the brain power up here to really put all that effort into it. So that hustle that I put in for the first 6 months, that was off the table. I had to find a smarter way to do it because otherwise I was going to blow through all of my savings and be left with nothing. So I got to work on my business with a new approach. I cut out anything that wasn't absolutely necessary or didn't give me a good enough return on the investment. And here's how you can do the same thing. So, first step, you got to learn how to work on your business rather than in your business. For a lot of people, you are, especially when you are starting your business, you're the person that has to do everything, every single little thing. And for a while, that might be sustainable, but you will reach a point where you have to stop because you physically don't have the time, energy, and capacity to be able to just keep on going and keep on pushing. It's not worth your time. If you can do the $200 an hour jobs, what's the point of you doing the $20 an hour jobs? Absolutely zero. So you've got to get to that point where you figure out what is the most important part of your business right now and put those high priority jobs up in a list, and then figure out what the low priority jobs are. What are those jobs that you don't necessarily need to do, or that you hate doing, or that you just wish somebody else would take that off your hands because it's just something that just annoys you and you feel like it's a waste of time. Honestly, it doesn't matter what it is, but the sooner you can find somebody to take over those things that you either don't want to do or aren't worth your time, the faster you are going to build success within your business. With my personal training business, as soon as I got someone to be able to do some administration work for me, sort out all the processing of the money and getting all that side of things done, one thing I no longer had to think about, released brain space for other things, and gave me a couple of hours every week that I didn't have to think about anymore. I was able to get trainers to come on board to run some of the sessions for me, and I would still show up and run some of the bigger sessions or the more popular ones, so I was still in front of the people, accessible to everybody, and I would take time off to be able to go and work on the other things in the rest of my time. So figure out what the biggest moving pieces are for you, what the best return on your investment, biggest bang for your buck jobs are. What's that? Go and do those ones and figure out what those jobs are that you don't necessarily have to do, because get them farmed off, and that might give you 5 to 10 hours a week that you can put into marketing, or you can put into whatever the next thing is in your business to build it up. Maybe there's a new system that you need to implement in order to be able to get to the next stage of things. Maybe you need to find a new supplier, or you need to be able to find a new way to be able to get your results. Maybe you need to find a new sales system or a back end to be able to run everything smoothly. Well, someone's got to have the time to be able to find what the best option is and to be able to plug that in. And that person, especially when you're the one starting it, that person's you. So free up some time so you can work on the other things that are more important, that are going to drive the business forward, and then you have more of a chance of being able to make things work. Step number 2, you got to stop neglecting your physical, your mental, and your social health. Now, when we start a business, it's really easy to just push everything aside because the last thing you want to do is fail. You don't want to be stuck in this point of spending all of your savings and just being in that stressed state all the time where you feel like you can't rest and you can't sleep and you've got to keep on going just so you can get to that point where you're breaking even, and the hope that you can get to that point where you are then making money. So what I suggest is trying to keep some semblance of balance in the early days, and then when you are, say somewhere between a year and a half to 3 years in, you really need to be bringing all that stuff back in the biggest amount possible, so you don't end up any more burnt out than you already are. Because if you start a business, you go so hard, you put so much in, quite often you forget how to stop, you forget how to rest, you forget how to relax. When you do have a chance to stop, you're just sleeping, or you are hustling trying to get your adulting jobs done at the same time. Whatever it is, you've got to find a way to be able to fit some of these simple things in. So physically, make sure you're eating well, drinking quality water, and sleeping very well. Look for those ways that you can make life easier for yourself. If you find that you are out picking up takeout for lunch, maybe you need to find somewhere that has a healthier option for that. Or maybe you have to take your lunch with you each day, which might mean doing some meal prep on the weekends. Maybe you're one of those people, and this is very common that I hear from business owners, who doesn't eat lunch because they don't have the time to stop. So they might eat something for breakfast, or they might just be drinking coffee for breakfast. And then you might be doing the same thing for lunch, just trying to get something on the go. Maybe it's only a drink, maybe it's a muesli bar or something you've got packed in there. But by the time you get home, or on your way home, you go through the drive-through and you pick up one of everything. And you eat so much more food because you haven't fueled yourself throughout the day. If only you just took some time to stop, even if it's 10 minutes. 10 minutes to stop and eat and just breathe for a little bit. Just relax for a few minutes. You're going to have a little bit extra in the tank. You're not going to feel like you need to stop and pick up that takeout on the way home. If you've got food cooked in advance, you know that there's food in the fridge or the freezer ready to heat up as soon as you get home. You can walk through the door, heat your food up. While that's going on, go and have a shower, and by the time you're done, come out and your food is ready to go. That's one solution you can do. You should probably be trying to get some exercise in. If your job is really physical and you're already out and about, maybe it's not so important. But if your job is more sedentary, where you are sitting or you are driving and you're really not doing much physical work in the day, how can you add some stretching or mobility work, or even just some walking, just for some fresh air? How can you fit that in? Can you stop somewhere on the way home from work, at a park maybe, and go for a walk or do some stretches or something there? Can you go to the gym on the way home? Not necessarily training super hard, but just doing something to get the blood flowing and get you out of that headspace of work, 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 and back to being a regular human again. What about your mental health? How is that going? Have you separated yourself from your friends, your family? Have you separated yourself from all the hobbies that you used to do? Do you feel like you are all work and no play, making you a dull boy? That could be the case, and that happens all the time as well. But obviously you can't keep yourself in that same mental state for too long, because you'll just hate your life. And when you hate your life, then you're going to resent your job, your business, your work. You're not going to want to play anymore. It leads people to the point where it's like, it's not worth it, I just want to quit. If you can bring your physical back in to your life, you'll find that's easier. If you can bring some of your hobbies back into your life, you'll find that's easier. Your mental health starts to settle because you are actually engaging in some of the things that you like doing, things that you want to do. You're enjoying yourself rather than just burning yourself out. Maybe you're putting pressure on yourself. Maybe this self-talk up here is like, I have to hit this goal. I have to hit this goal. I have to hit this goal. And you keep pushing your goal up higher and higher and higher. Meanwhile, all your body wants to do is just give me a rest. If you get to this point where you are breaking even and everything is fine and you're okay, why not have a bit of a break? As in, don't push yourself to work 50, 60 hours a week. Just cut it back to 40 hours a week and try and relax on the weekends. Get back to seeing some of your friends, your family, doing some of the things you want to do. Give yourself a month or two just to decompress before you're ready to go to that next level again. Because you need it, not just on a physical level, but you need it on a mental level. You need that break in order to be able to have some rest and some clarity as to what you're going to do next. You want to be able to make good decisions. If your mental health is not in a good place, you're not going to make good decisions. So allow yourself a time to back off. It's necessary. Social health is the last one, and I bring that up because so often I see people who are in their business who just don't see their friends anymore. They don't have a chance to see their friends. Sometimes they might not even see their family enough because they are just pushing so hard. The detriment that comes from that is just, it's too much. It's overwhelming. You realize very quickly that a workplace quite often involves conflict. You're dealing with customers who don't always see eye to eye with you. In fact, a lot of the time they're just arguing with you and you just resent talking to them half the time. And if that's the only conversations that you're having in the day, that's the only time you're around people, that's a real negative place to be in. So find, how can you fitting your time with your family and friends. Can you get home from work 15 minutes earlier? Can you really set a time to be able to go, all right, well, this is family time, this is what I'm doing here. This is my social time, this is what I'm doing here. Put it into your schedule as a priority, because it needs to be a priority. You need that in order to feel like you and be able to get on with your life in a way that is going to work a whole lot better for you. You can't do everything. So finally, get more from the clients that you already have. The best client that you have is the one that is already paying you, who already knows, likes, and trusts you, who already knows you deliver a good quality service for whatever you do. Now, what does that look like, getting more from them? Well, would you like fries with that? Is a really easy one. What can you do to make their life easier? Can you do multiple jobs for them, even though they really only want one job? Is there some other things that you could add on there that make their life easier? Because organizing someone to come and do some work for you, or organizing someone to run a job for you or whatever, that takes a lot of energy. If you can make the process easier for that person, it takes less energy for them. If you can do multiple jobs for them rather than just one job that they might have thought you could do, you're now saving them the stress of dealing with somebody else. So can you make it easier for them by providing more? Or can you charge more for what you do? There are multiple ways to get more out of the same clients that you already have. In fact, they're the best source of referrals as well, because they already know, like, and trust you. They're going to talk you up to their friends and family. Sometimes it's just a matter of asking, hey, you got anyone else that you think might need what I can do for you? And quite often they'll go, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. And all of a sudden you'll get a few phone calls of people who are just happy to help or wanting your services because, hey, you did such a good job for this person. All you need to do is ask. It doesn't take much. Even if it's a simple email that is sent after you've collected your payment and what have you, say, hey, how did you like our service? What did you like? What didn't you like? And would you be happy to refer us on to anyone else? If so, please, can you tell some friends and family? Something like that is so simple and yet gives them a chance to be able to appreciate what you've done and give back to you. So you're getting more out of the same clients you already have just by asking a question or offering to do something a little bit extra. So you can make your business fit your lifestyle, especially once you're established. So if you pass that first 1.5, 2 to 3 years, you're at that sweet spot where you can now sort of run the business with the end in mind. You can see how you want things to go. It might not be exactly what you wanted when you started with, but you can see, hey, this is what works, this is what goes great, and this is where I want to put my energy into because this is what's going to work more. There are so many possible time leaks in a business where you can seal that up and gain back time. You can gain back concentration. You can gain back work hours. You can gain back so much of your life, but you have to be diligent with your time. You have to be really strict. You have to work it into your schedule and then stick to your schedule. And don't just focus on, your day-to-day running of the business. Really focus on, how can I make this what I want it to be in the future? How can I build this up into something that is easier, that is self-sustaining, that runs without me, that I still enjoy? Because then you're more likely to be able to stick around for the long term. So take some of that time back for you so that you can have a whole lot more in your business. That allows you to live much more of the lifestyle that you want, which is probably what you wanted when you first started the business in the first place. Now, if you need help with setting up your ideal lifestyle, that's what I do. We've got a free 28-day program. You can jump on that and I will help you design, build and live your ideal lifestyle. Even if it's working your way in with your business now to try and make things easier. In fact, In my Life Map program, I actually give my free work 10 less hours a week program with that as well. It's a game changer for anyone who has been working in their business long term and really needs to be able to pull some time out so they can get more life back. Anyway, you'll find the link to the Life Map below. I hope to see you on the inside.